Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Lion Lost, Fettless Faction Village servers, Atlas, Mutated Jurassic Outbreak server, and one original DayZ servers for making this video possible. DayZ 1.21 comes with a new knight armor, which just so happens to be the best armor in the game at protecting us from melee weapons, infected, crossbow bolts, bullets, and even freaking explosives. So in this video, we're going to explore just how much each of these new pieces protect us, check out the new loot area where all of this medieval gear spawns, and look at the new awesome way that we can repair armor in DayZ. There are 6 new pieces of medieval gear in DayZ 1.21, of which 5 of these pieces protect us from melee, ballistic, and explosive damage. This includes a chainmail top, chainmail leggings, chainmail coif, chestplate, medieval boots, and the map exclusive Norse helm. All 6, including the Great Helm now 2, spawn at the new loot tag called the Historical Loot Tag, which encompasses the ruined castles dotted around the map of Chernarus. However, because there's only one castle on Livonia, all medieval equipment on Livonia spawns at hunting locations instead, but also spawns at the Yellow King Castle too. This is fairly unusual because it will mean that the knight armor is easier to find on Livonia than it is on Chernarus. So remember, castles only on Chernarus, castles and hunting locations on Livonia, and in case you're wondering, the prison buildings are not considered historical loot areas. The chainmail top is an extremely heavy piece of kit weighing a monstrous 10 kilograms, just 2 kilograms lighter than the plate carrier vest, but has low absorbency so it won't get much heavier when it's wet. If you combine this low absorbency with the incredible heat insulation value of 90% that comes on this, you've got yourself one of the warmest tops to wear in DayZ, but you'll need to find a heat source to dry it if it does get damp because you cannot wring out this top. When equipped, it will give you 16 inventory slots, which is a very low amount for how rare this is to find. There's plenty of other tops in DayZ that give you a lot more than 16, but it does give you one additional hotbar slot down here. The chainmail top is a very durable item, as you might expect from a metal piece of clothing, but what's best about this is a new awesome way that you can repair it. If your chainmail top is below the worn quality level, you only need a pair of pliers to repair it, restoring 1 quality level per action and degrading the pliers slightly, essentially making the pliers a lot more useful in this patch because there's no other way to repair the chainmail in DayZ. The chainmail leggings are almost identical to the chainmail top, but the only difference is really being that the top is 10% hotter, so really hot still, but weighs 2 kilograms more than the leggings, again being repaired with pliers too. The chainmail coif is the third and final piece of chainmail to be added this patch, which again means that you can repair it with pliers too, but it lacks in stats compared to the other two, and it isn't great compared to other head slot items for protection either, and is very heavy for a head slot item too. Now, if the coif was considered an item that fits in the mask slot instead of the head slot, it would undoubtedly be the best mask in DayZ as it reduces damage against bullets and melee attacks and explosives, but in DayZ the chainmail coif is considered a helmet that fits into the head slot, so you cannot place a helmet over the top or even a hat over the top of this coif. The chestplate is considered a vest slot item, so you can wear this over the top of any other top in the game, including the chainmail top too, so you can combine these together. It's not as good as a plate carrier vest though, but it is almost as good as a police vest. Like the police vest, the chestplate doesn't provide any slots, but it does give you a hotbar bonus of 1 and has very good durability. One of the most unique features of the chestplate is that you can repair it up to the worn quality level with a blowtorch using a very small amount of gas in the process. However, the chestplate cannot be repaired using any other method in DayZ. Apart from their look and how they're quieter than boots, there's not really much special about the medieval boots. I was expecting these to be made of metal, but these ones are made of leather instead. They are fairly worn boots for how they can only become damp at a maximum, but you cannot wring these out. They are very heavy compared to boots, which have roughly the same durability value too, and they are super rare compared to boots too. For their stats, the most similar footwear I could find to these are wellies, but medieval boots are slightly better and can be repaired with the leather sewing kit too. Note that medieval boots are the only piece of medieval gear that was added this patch that don't provide any protection bonuses for our characters. The Norse helm is the second new head slot item that we got this patch, and the second medieval themed helm in DayZ after the Great Helm, which we'll compare later. For now, the Norse helm will only spawn on Livonia in hunting locations, so this helmet is not available on any other map for now, only Livonia. For anyone that doesn't have the Livonia DLC, you're not missing out on much when you don't have this helm apart from the looks, because it has no heat insulation and is very heavy for a helmet too. The Norse helmet and Great Helm can both be repaired with a blowtorch as of 1.21, working much like it repairs the new chestplate now. There are many different ways that items can protect us in DayZ, but to keep it simple, we're only going to look at the 4 ways that we can get attacked, which are melee attacks, infected attacks, ballistic attacks, and explosive attacks. Each item we wear has a potential to protect us from these types of attacks, which mostly comes in the form of health or shock damage protection. For example, looking at the chest plate which attaches to the vest slot, it provides 70% health damage reduction from melee attacks from players, 0% shock damage reduction from melee attacks from players, 70% and 55% from infected, 45% and 35% from bullets or bolts, and again 45 and 35 from explosives. To compare the chest plate to armor available in the previous patch, it is better than the ballistic vest and the police vest against melee and infected, but slightly worse against ballistics and explosives. This pretty much reflects how all 5 pieces of the new medieval gear protects us from damage, basically more melee and infected protection rather than ballistic and explosive protection. This means you should use a plate carrier, ballistic and police vest against bullets, bolts and explosives, where you should use medieval armor against all types of melee attack, making this new armor the best armor in DayZ for melee protection, which makes a lot of sense given that it's medieval armor and it's supposed to do that. However, the biggest development in this patch is that this is only the case for the chest plate and the 3 medieval helms, because we have armor in the game for the vest and the head slot already that's better than these, but what we don't have is a top and legs that have the armor stat on them. The chainmail top and the chainmail legs have the armor stat on them, making these god tier pieces of equipment that everybody will be searching castles for this patch, because update 1.21 is going to be the patch that's going to be remembered for reintroducing ballistic armor stacking. A very long time ago, in a patch far, far away, you could combine the leather jacket with the press vest to increase the level protection you have against bullets, arrows and bolts that hit your torso, because both of these items attached to your torso provide a stacking bonus of ballistic protection. With 1.21, ballistics can now once again be stacked on the torso, allowing you to combine the ballistic protection of the chest plate with the ballistic protection of the chainmail top. As an example, this Vega firing slug shells does almost exactly 100 health damage to unprotected players in the torso, with just the chest plate reducing that number to 55 health damage instead, so reduces the Vega's damage in this case by 45%. The chainmail top on its own is worse, reducing damage to just 70, so only reduces damage by 30%, but if you combine the chest plate and the chainmail top together, you only take 39 damage instead, a reduction of 60% damage instead of this 100 health, basically reducing the Vega's damage by 2.5 times. Now I will say that the plate carrier vest on its own without any other gear is better than these two combined together, but again you can stack the chainmail top on top and there you have 20 damage each shot, or 5 times less damage. Instead of doing 100 damage, the plate carrier vest plus this chainmail top reduces the damage by 80%, making this chainmail top an absolute must-have item if you want to consider yourself fully geared in DayZ now, and that's without factoring in the extra melee and explosive damage resistance that you get from this too. If that wasn't enough to get you sieging some castles in this patch, the chainmail legs are the only pants slot item in DayZ that provide ballistic protection too, allowing you to take 30% extra punishment in the legs from ballistic attacks, reducing the pool of weapons that can break your leg in DayZ to just these 3, with 0 weapons past 50 meters. Beyond 50 meters, nobody can break your leg. This is because you need to do over 148 health damage to break somebody's leg with these on, compared to just 104 damage with them off, making them, like the chainmail top, an absolute must-have if you want to consider yourself fully geared, likely making castles an absolute PvP hotspot in 1.21. The 3 types of medieval headslot item you can get now will probably be the least looted items in castles after the mildly mediocre medieval boots, simply because there are plenty of better helmets in the game against ballistic damage. To compare the 3 though, the Great Helm is the best all-arounder for protecting against ballistics and explosives, where the coif is the best against all types of melee attack, making the Norse helm less beneficial in terms of stats. Another stat we need to consider in the future is how loud this armor is going to be to wear, because at the moment you can walk around fairly easily without getting detected, but in the game files there's a bunch of unique sounds that play when wearing chainmail now, likely making you much louder in the future against infected and players during any action that requires movement from your character. For now though, the crossbow added this patch is absolutely incredible. You need to learn about this weapon, or you can check out the awesome physics that came with crossbow bolts too here. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.